Hey geeks and gamers, back again with another coverage of the supplement races for the Tales of Runeterra that I've been working on. Today we'll be covering the humans and the Iceborn. Starting out with the humans, I didn't change a whole lot from the base book, but with all the new fantastical races and the true diversity that's really found here and there throughout Runeterra, I made some minor changes to really make them feel like the versatile utility belt of the universe that they're kind of meant to be. So to start out, I made their ability score increases be completely applicable by you. You can place 3 points in the same spot. You can place 1 point across 3 things, really giving you a bit more option on how you go and how you specialize, since that's meant to really be the point of the humans in this world, is that they can really hone in on something, and there's so many different traditions and cultures. The rest of the stuff is following relatively similar as far as age goes. They are obviously adult at 18. They live to be about 100, usually less. Their alignment is not really in particular. It depends on, which faction, which group, which continent. They really display the best and the worst of both sides no matter what. As far as size goes, average 5-6 feet. They vary pretty hard. Obviously, we have humans like Garen that are absolute units. We have very small humans that come out here and there. Either way, they're still remaining medium-sized, the 30-foot base speed. They do get a common language and a language of your choice, since they can really apply themselves to anything, and they start with versatile, which allows them to choose one additional skill and tool proficiency to begin with. And obviously they're keeping the adaptable thing from the variant option, where they are getting an additional feat of your choice, giving you a bit better flavor that you might be missing from some of the other ones. Maybe you take Lucky and you end up kind of taking a bit more risks. Maybe you end up a Shield Master and you can push your way through and get more of a Braum kind of character. Really depends on the day and what you want to do, and that's kind of what I was aiming to get with this, was to really cover from nerdy humans building Hextech weapons in Piltover to humans living in Demacia and working as paladins, working to fight, the darkness and evil of the world as a whole. Moving back from them, though, because they have not changed a crazy amount, I just tried to give them a little small micro buff to help them stay in the game. We also have the Iceborn, which I technically know in lore isn't its own race per se, but they're very heavily populated and it is a specific bloodline. I considered maybe making this a additional class for the sorcerer, and I might ponder that around as I go, see how people feel about that. But at the moment I left it as a race because I wasn't really personally doing a lot of custom classes or anything like that for this. I was using the base classes. So as I went for now, their ability score increases is Constitution and Dexterity. Constitution, obviously they live in a tundra, it's very cold, it's very harsh terrain. They build up a bit of fortitude from that, and Dexterity, they have to be a little bit more nimble, a little bit carefuler on treading ice and, really stepping lightly amongst the snow as a species that kind of has to hunt to survive. They run a little bit closer to humans as far as physicality goes, because most of them often are humans. They reach adulthood around 18, but they live a little bit longer, up to 120, because of the magic flowing through them. Their alignment is usually lawful, considering the fact that you pretty much won't find Iceborn outside of the Freljord, and they will most likely, on average, belong to one of the 3 Freljord factions, depending on which part of the lore you're playing in. Obviously 2 of them consolidate together eventually, but they are usually slightly taller than the average human and rather muscular. A lot of the Freljordians just kind of match that aesthetic. Even Ashe, who's obviously a lot smaller and petite, you can definitely see a bit of arm definition and stuff as she goes. She's definitely not out of shape by any definition, and you get characters like Braum, you get characters like Trendemir that are just absolute units. They are, however, remaining medium-sized. Their base speed is 30, as they're used to trekking through the snow. They obviously wouldn't have any negatives in normal terrain. They're in pretty well shape. They get common in Freljordian as kind of like a Nordic understanding and kind of common language amongst them. They also get Ice Blood, which is resistance to cold damage, and they are immune to all natural cold, so that they have a better survival chance amongst the tundras of Freljord. They also get a couple of unique abilities, including Frost Strike, which all attacks and spells have a chance to slow by 10 feet for 1d4 rounds. This does not stack with itself, so you can try slowing multiple targets. The DC is also calculated using spell DC, using con. So it's kind of good for tanks. You can really get that Ash, that Braum, those types of kite until they die type characters. You're also getting Glacial Strike, which is once per day. You may freeze a target that's affected by your Frost Strike as a bonus action. So once you've slowed it with your attack, you can use your bonus to freeze it, assuming they fail the DC, which will also be calculated as a spell DC using your con, and they have to roll a con against it. It only lasts for 1 round, but that's a full round where they are completely immobilized. They are paralysis, basically. And then you also get Glacial Stride, which is kind of the natural resistance to them having fight opponents that have had this for such a long time. They have advantage against being slowed and or frozen, giving them advantage against those DCs that were prompted earlier and other spells of the like. This one's technically, as a DM, you could let them aesthetically be any race, because like I said, it is a bloodline, so you could have them have the aesthetic of, say, a Yordle, but be a Frostborn Yordle, and have this stat block. I decided to make it based off humans, because the average, even in their lore, bloodline that has managed to stick successfully is humans. Either way, that will be the 2 races I'm covering today. Figured I would group them together considering they're more of the human bulk, and I'll keep pushing forward as making as many videos as I can. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment below. Anything else you'd like to see? I plan on making some expansions. Different race subclasses have already been suggested to me. I've heard a lot of concepts for backgrounds. I'm going to keep working on it, adding what I can, and I will see you on the next adventure.